When it comes to Batman, we all tend to think of Bruce Wayne, and while we all might have our favorite version of Bruce when it comes to Batman, there have been many other characters besides who have worn the cape and cowl, some of whom and the events which brought them to become Batman might actually surprise you. Welcome back, Nerd Squad. I personally love that while we have so many individual Batfamily characters and members, there are also so many of them and many outside of them who have become Batman at one time or another, and have actually done a pretty remarkable job. Now join me as we take a look at some of these promising Bats and count down the top 10 times Batman wasn't Bruce Wayne. Prepare to be surprised as early as our number 10 spot. Alright, let's get counting. Number 10, Hugo Strange. Is there anything scarier than the image of Hugo Strange as Batman? While you might be a bit surprised to hear this one, fans of the classic detective comics of the 70s surely will not be. This plot was part of a story arc that began with issue 471 and shouldn't seem that surprising to those who are familiar with Hugo Strange's obsession with Batman. Strange went further than the Joker did recently in Joker War with his plot though. He might not have had Bruce's millions, but in a plot to take over as Batman, he impersonated Bruce Wayne, who he found out was Batman, and committed crimes all over Gotham while under the guise of Bruce's Batman. He also fashioned his own suit, Batcave, and even created his own Robin and Alfred. Now that is commitment. Number 9, Tim Fox. During DC's Future State, we see a new mysterious Batman appear on the scene and take up the mantle. Except not too mysterious, as it's really been talked about a ton as to who would be this new mystery Batman prior to even issue 1 of the next Batman's release. It's none other than Tim Fox. As of issue 2, we still don't really know exactly what events went down to lead Luke's estranged brother Tim, or as he prefers to be called, Jace, to take up the mantle, but we can guess what might have inspired him. Likely, like Batman, a lack of justice and a personal loss. His sister is actually currently in a coma, and while others seem to actually blame the masks for her predicament, it seems like Jace actually feels more inspired to don a mask himself, the mask in fact, in Batman's absence, following what was believed to be Batman's death. I gotta say, with each issue, I'm actually warming more to the idea of Jace's Batman, who also appears in the Future State Justice League as well, and I absolutely love his costume. Number 8, Ariel. Following the events of Nightfall, Batman was left broken by Bane, and Bruce Wayne as such was forced to hang up the cowl while he worked towards recovery, trying to fix his broken back. For his replacement, he chose Jean-Paul Valley, aka Ariel. Ariel would prove to be an interesting choice in the long run. Initially, he appeared to be a passionate and fearsome fit, but he ended up taking things too far, brutally attacking the criminals who opposed him in a more violent and drastic fashion when compared with Bruce's Bat. He also became obsessed with being Batman to the point that Bruce Wayne, upon his return, was actually forced to fight Ariel in order to make him give back the mantle. Number 7, Thomas Wayne. Our Flashpoint Batman ends up being none other than Batman's father, as in this alternate reality, young Bruce Wayne is the victim of that fateful mugging instead of his parents. And if you thought Bruce was living in the darkest timeline as Batman, Flashpoint would like to remind you that you are sorely mistaken. Things could always be a lot more dark than even our main continuity Batman. Thomas Wayne as Batman not only has to deal with the loss of his son, but also the fact that this loss drives his wife completely insane, turning her into Batman's number 1 enemy, the Joker. And when they both find out there is a reality where their son lives, becomes Batman, and they actually died, both Flashpoint Martha Joker and Thomas Batman agree that whatever it takes, that reality needs to be saved. And before we move on to this next spot, just a quick little reminder to give this video a thumbs up if you love Batman as much as I love Batman, and who doesn't love Batman? Number 6, Damian Wayne. Damian Wayne becomes Batman in an alternate future where the first to inherit the mantle, Nightwing, Dick Grayson, has actually died. This ends up changing Damian, who believes killing may actually be necessary again in some cases moving forward. Hated by many as Batman, Damian does his best to protect Gotham with any means necessary. Damian also filled in for his father at one time in the main continuity when Bruce Wayne was unable to patrol role. Young Damian told his father not to worry, as he would sub in as Batman for the evening in his father's absence. Number 5. Helena Wayne. I have always loved Helena Wayne and the idea of Batman and Catwoman having a daughter together to live on and uphold their legacy, which is why I love Helena Wayne stepping into the role of Batman, even if we only got to see her do so for like one issue. In the final issue of Earth 2 Society, we see Helena Wayne become the Batman, with her own Robin even as her sidekick. I love that Helena decides to leave the name as is, seeing it as a symbol of hope and as a legacy that she is proud to be a part of. I also love that her Robin is actually Dick Grayson and Barbara Gordon's son, John. So cute. Earth 2 is neat. Number 4. Jason Todd. In Battle for the Cowl, we see the Robins kind of battle it out for the right to become the next Bat, after Batman is believed dead following a fight with Darkseid. Sort of. In reality, everyone wants Dick Grayson to become the new Batman for the most part, but he refuses. This leads to Jason Todd impersonating Batman and donning the cape and cowl, armed with guns, as is usually his thing. Jason Todd proves to be a lethal and deadly version of Batman, who ends up taking out almost all who oppose him with bullets. Pew pew. Number 3. Tim Drake. After Jason takes up the mantle of Batman and starts actively defending his new role, Tim Drake attempts to stop him. Since Nightwing actually refuses to become Batman, he himself decides to take a stab at it. Using his brilliant mind, he is able to track down Jason as Batman, who is hiding out in his own weird version of the Batcave. Or, not really hiding out, more like lying in wait. When Bat Tim confronts him, Bat Jason also ends up taking him out. Fortunately, in the end, Nightwing does show up to defeat Jason, and Damian Wayne and Squire actually show up to save Tim Bat just in the nick of time, as everything's collapsing. Number 2. Terry McGinnis. Of course, I cannot have a list of non-Bruce Wayne Batmans without mentioning the one, Terry McGinnis. Terry McGinnis is actually the genetic son of Bruce due to the scheming of Amanda Waller. Realizing that Batman was getting on in years and seeking to make the perfect replacement for him, she started Project Batman Beyond, which the animated show that Terry appears in takes its name from. Waller found the perfect psychological matches to Bruce's parents, and without them knowing, managed to actually rewrite the reproductive DNA of the male of that couple. Later on, Terry was born, making him the genetic son of Bruce Wayne, despite his biological parents being Mary and Warren McGinnis. Waller even attempted to have his parents assassinated, attempting to create similar conditions to Bruce Wayne's upbringing and hoping to inspire Terry to become a vigilante and begin training at a young age with his parents' death. However, the assassination plot fell through, so instead, Terry grew up with his parents alive. They had a second son and would later divorce. Warren, though, would end up being murdered, which would inspire Terry to become Batman and lead to a team-up and crime-fighting partnership between him and Bruce. Number 1. Dick Grayson. I mean, you knew he was going to be number 1, right? Following the events of Battle of the Cowl, Dick finally accepts the role of Batman, taking up the mantle for himself and replacing Bruce. Dick Grayson is usually seen as the legacy Batman, the heir to the Bat that we all kind of expect, as he was the first Robin. Even though Damian Wayne is Batman's biological son, Dick still often plays the role of oldest sibling and firstborn under the wing of the Bat, so it makes sense that he would be the one to inherit that title when Batman is believed dead. However, in the end, it would be revealed that Batman actually wasn't actually dead, but was simply blasted into the past, and that the body they initially believed was his was only that of one of Granny Goodness's clones of him. Eventually, Batman would return, and Dick would end up returning to his superhero mantle of Nightwing once more. So many great Batmen with not even enough numbers to count them all. Who are some of your favorite Batman who aren't Bruce Wayne? And who would you love to see take up the mantle next? Let us know in the comments below. And speaking of comments, it's time to turn to some comments from one of our latest videos, Top 10 Most Powerful Sorcerer Supremes. Human Fella suggests Talisman Shaman's daughter was said to have the potential power to rival Doctor Strange. Whatever happened to her? That is a good suggestion and a good question. Well, Talisman has definitely been around lately, but I feel like it's been more on like the fringes of the Marvelverse of late. She was most recently mentioned in the comic Marvel's Voice, Indigenous Voices, which I kind of hope becomes its own little series highlighting like Marvel's indigenous characters and heroes, because there is a lot of really cool ones, and there's a pretty cool story featuring Silver Fox in that one. But sadly, no talisman story, alas, just a mention. But I would love more talisman stories. Let's do it. Noah Man Bajawala comments, can you please do a top 10 Marvel animal heroes like Lockheed, Throg, and Howard the Duck? I love this suggestion, and I'm so worried for Throg right now. I would love to talk more about Marvel animals, animal-like companions, so hopefully we can do something like that at some point. And that's all the time we have for comments today. Be sure to comment below for a chance to have your thoughts and feels featured in a future video. This has been Top 10 Nerd, and I'm your host, Amanda McKnight, reminding you, as always, to stay nerdy, YouTube.